Hey everybody, Dan here. What you're about to hear is some content that we cut from episode 22. Not for quality, but just for length reasons, because out of that recording session, we ended up with, I think, almost like 3 hours worth of stuff. So there's two segments. One is we're going to finally cover the Houston Astros cheating scandal and I guess what jokingly might be the final off the top of my bat ever. And then we do a nice little deep dive on the NFL playoffs. So if you're like me, you're probably starved for sports content right now. So hopefully this will be a nice little slice from what already seems like a simpler time. And I would also say that if you are starved for sports content, feel free to email us. Ask anything you like. Ask us to discuss something. Send us something crazy you found in a comment section that you'd like D to read in his country guy voice, because I could use a little more of that. At any rate, I hope you enjoy this. Dan out.
Off the top of my bat.
So there has been one of the biggest scandals in MLB history, certainly. I mean, it's arguable sports history.
Dang, it's like that. I've been hearing bits and pieces. I haven't really dove into it, but dang, it's sounding pretty insane and pretty intense right now.
It's now, in fairness, nothing has been announced or like officially proven about the 2018 Red Sox, but essentially this scandal definitely encompasses a world champion that cheated, the 2017 Astros, that like definitely cheated. They didn't admit it, but the commissioner like published a report saying we investigated and they cheated.
I don't think the Red Sox cheated. They were just world beaters.
Well, here we'll get into that.
Oh, no.
And I think it's safe to say that the Red Sox have been credibly accused of cheating, and the result of that is still pending, but it's telling that the team almost immediately fired the manager, Alex Cora, who used to be a Houston bench coach when they won the World Series. And
didn't he just get the job?
He literally was their manager for only 2 years.
Oh, 2 years, okay.
Because he started in 2018, right after the Astros won the World Series. But he essentially, he was a bench coach on the Astros, and he was essentially the guy that was the mastermind of what has become known as the Bang Scheme.
Banging Gate? Bang Gate?
No, they call it the Bang Scheme, or the Banging Scheme.
Oh, wow.
Which is just a wonderful turn of phrase that I enjoy very much. Because the Astros, at one point anyway, their method of communicating the pitch, when they were able to decipher the signs from the video room, their method of communicating what pitch was coming to the batter was to bang on a trash can in the dugout. So hence
how would they not catch that that quick? Like if it was something that obvious, how would they not catch that?
It was sort of like long rumored in MLB circles, and players pretty much all teams knew when you go play in Houston, change your signs frequently. So yeah, but
dang.
So I mean, imagine an NFL scandal that took down 2 world champions and 3 different head coaches. Like that is the magnitude that we're dealing with here. And the general manager, too. That's the other thing. Jeff Lunau is gone from Houston. So they lost their manager, their assistant general manager, because that piece of work couldn't stop, like, taunting women with domestic violence in the locker room.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah. That guy. And I love when he, like, put out a statement trying to defend himself. The old, I have a wife and kids, therefore I'm incapable of being shitty to women. Like that's his argument.
Dang, for real?
I love that. I love that sort of like classic stupid deflection.
Incapable.
Anyway, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. That's a whole different thing. But so yeah, it's a huge deal. MLB has just gotten in bed with gambling. And so they have like, you have to figure, after the Black Sox scandal, literally in 1919, 100 years ago, that's really, I think, because supposedly the players on the White Sox were blackmailed by gamblers. At least that's kind of the story. Into fixing the World Series.
Wow.
So obviously that, is probably the biggest scandal in sports history, and those 8 players were banned for life, including the,
8 players?
Yeah. Including Shoeless Joe Jackson, one of the all-time greats.
Shoeless Joe Jackson?
Yeah. Back when people had, like, weird nicknames like that.
I mean, Billy White Shoes Johnson, man, from the NFL, man.
Yeah.
Billy White Shoes.
Anyways, so I don't really have a point to make about this. Just wanted to acknowledge it for a little bit. And it's interesting because it's a weird thing where for a long time in baseball, stealing signs is legal, as long as you do it with essentially analog means. If say you have a hitter on second base who notices throughout the inning that like 2 fingers down means fastball, he may have a predetermined way of communicating that to the hitter at home plate, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And a lot of times that's when you'll notice sometimes especially in a key moment when there's a guy on second base, the pitcher and catcher will kind of huddle up and say, all right, let's change the signs, because they're specifically trying to prevent this. And that's long been a game within the game kind of thing. And it's accepted part of baseball. It's not against the rules. It's, for whatever reason, not considered cheating, because it's just a codified part of the game from when, it was played in the 1880s by people who would like regularly spike each other. So,
ouch.
When it was very much like almost a gladiatorial combat sport. But
Pete Rose's combat baseball or something.
Oh my God, Pete Rose would be the guy.
I mean, he did have that stint at in WWE.
It's true.
When he would like charge with a bat and then came with like grab him by the throat and choke slam him. Pete Rose.
Anyways.
Put him in the hall, please.
Yeah. Although, he's done himself no favors because he's just been consistently a jackass over the years.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that make you feel bitter too, man?
Well, yeah, but I mean,
exiled from baseball, and you got the numbers that prove that speak for themselves. They put you in the hall, but the Hall of Fame is just nothing but a glorified fraternity.
If I was consistently a jackass, would you be more or less likely to hang out with me?
Oh, less likely. Duh.
Would you be more or less likely to do me a huge favor? Less
likely.
That's my point. Fair or unfair, you catch more flies with honey, as the saying goes. Anyways, so, it's sort of an interesting question, like, how much does this actually affect a team? Does this materially increase your chances of winning? It's hard to quantify, and
you still got to swing the bat. You still got to execute your plays. Same thing, with New England and stuff.
Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports, and even if you know what pitch is coming, it can still be very difficult.
Because of placement and off speed and velocity and just it's just there's so much to it,
And interestingly enough, there are players who pretty much explicitly say to their teammates, I don't, even if you figure something out, I don't want to know, because I like to play instinctually, see ball, hit ball. I don't want to know what pitch is coming. I don't want to have to think about it.
Because that could mess you up, man.
Yeah, it's like a personal preference thing, and just different guys learn how to do it different ways. You have, hitters that are super cerebral. Albert Pujols was well known during his peak in the mid 2000s for having for having a video room in St. Louis, and he would go between innings to look at film on pitchers. Obviously not film of the signs, but he would watch the pitches, watch their their pitch selection and their sequencing and positioning and all that kind of stuff. He was, and that's not cheating. That's not against the rules.
That's
to watch
studying.
Film. Yeah, right. It's just, that's sort of the opposite of that. He was a very extremely cerebral hitter who wanted to know everything he possibly could.
That's like some Belichick shit right there.
Right. Yeah. You don't think of baseball players as like big tape grinders, but they can be. But so. Even so, I almost think, though, that, like, man, especially in baseball where the playoffs are so random and success or failure almost always comes down to, like, a handful of super high leverage moments, having even a slight edge in those moments matters.
It does.
And it sucks ass because, like, Game 5 of the 2017 World Series, that crazy, like, 12-11 shootout that went to extra innings that Houston won, is one of those, like, one of my favorite games, baseball games that I've just ever watched in my life, because it was just so weird and so exciting. And
more than the bat flip?
But, no, not that. But if you go back, it does seem super improbable that the Dodgers were spotted a 4-0 lead with Kershaw on the mound, and then he like immediately gave up a home run, and then they scored 3 more runs, and then he immediately gave up another home run to tie the game.
He just melted. was those assists there?
That's the thing. We'll never know. We will never know.
Did you hear about the petition, like, where they're put into like city council or something of them having the championships forfeited to them?
Yeah. No, because if it turns out it's the Red Sox too, that means the Dodgers were screwed out of 2 championships, and that's the thing. So it's been an interesting experience. Although not on the Red Sox side, because I'm a Red Sox fan, but at least for the Astros, I've never been on the other side of the cheating scandal where I get to be salty about someone else's team.
Well, also, that was like my dad's team, the Dodgers, so it would be cool to see them get one of those championships.
Yeah.
But don't take the championship from Mookie. Please don't take Mookie bets.
And no, you're not going to vacate championships over this, and that's a dumb idea anyway, because it doesn't change the past,
I don't know. They did it for Michigan basketball with the whole improper benefits and stuff.
And that was really freaking stupid.
They still got those championship banners in there, like tucked in storage.
It's so dumb.
Fab 5, baby.
I hate the NCAA. Anyway.
We should just do an episode of your disdain for them.
Yeah, I hate the NCAA episode. But yeah, it's a crazy one, man. I can't think of anything like this in recent memory. And it's one of those things that like Dodgers fans get to be salty about forever. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I love Jose Altuve. I love Carlos Correa. I like a lot of the players on that team, even if I kind of hate the guys that were in charge of it.
Justin Verlander.
And it's like, for the rest of their careers, man, I mean, just like with Brady and Belichick, like, no matter what they do for the rest of their careers, that's first paragraph of the obituary kind of stuff.
And in the second paragraph, 6 championships.
Right. Stained by allegations of cheating, and
we had 2.
It's true.
Well, actually, now like a third.
Right, yeah.
Same with Sam Hinkie. Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
So, hey, let's talk about the NFL playoffs.
Playoffs?
We'll do kind of what we did either last year or 2 years ago. I can't freaking remember.
Rapid fire.
But we'll just kind of rapid fire go through the games. Let's do
the NFC first, because that'll be really, really quick.
Yeah. So, New Orleans, okay.
New Orleans,
did it again.
I do not want to hear any more complaints about like cheating or you being cheated out of games because of referees and stuff. You straight up botched that game against an opponent you should have maybe not easily beaten, but should have convincingly beat.
The Saints were like demonstrably a better team throughout the season. They had no excuse for losing that game.
I mean, think about it. Like, they still cling on to that championship that was won 10 years ago.
Yep.
And it's been heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss. At some point, stupidity kind of plays into it in the end. And losing to the Vikings, who has a great defense, but does not have they have a good but not great quarterback, and they lost to them. They lost to them.
Yeah, man.
They lost to the Vikings. They lost to a 6 seed.
It's not a good look. And, because wasn't there a call? There was like a weird call at the end of that game. Oh, Kyle Rudolph pushed off, supposedly.
They both pushed, though,
and I think
they
did.
both are fighting.
But, like, at a certain point, it's like, freaking play better.
You know what?
Stop kind of if you're a juggernaut, play like one. Like,
Don't-
stop disappearing in big games.
Don't throw towards the end of the first half that leads to a field goal.
Remember, no one remembers that what actually sealed the Saints losing the NFC Championship last year was Drew Brees throwing an interception.
And before that, like they had their first two red zone trips in field goals against the Rams.
I'm tired of hearing about it. So let's move on. Seattle beat Philly 17-9. I did not watch this game. It seemed kind of boring.
But like we got a chance to see like Josh McCown, 40 years old, play. And he also tore his hammy.
Yeah, that's right, because Wentz went out in like the first quarter or something, and so like that just was a wash after that.
Dude, how does Josh McCown keep getting work? I respect that. As we talked a few episodes ago, like I respect that man's hustle. Him and Ryan Fitzpatrick just keep getting work, man.
I think Josh McCown is this generation's Steve DeBerg. Who friggin' played until he was 45.
Or Gus Farrat.
Oh my god! Oh, wow. Ooh, boy, that's a name I feel like I want to clip in Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, now that's a name I've not heard in a long time.
Gus Farrat.
Fuss Garrot.
I like that. But noting that game, though, what was significant, though, is Russell Wilson, a magician, and DK Metcalf. They said like 7 or 9 like guys, like wide receivers were taken before him, including us who took N'Keal Harry, which he seems promising.
We'll see.
DK Metcalf, like
he's legit.
Remember when he went viral with how swole and like jacked he was? Yeah. Like the dude is like. He is like kind of like the Seattle. He's like the wide receiver that Seattle needs.
Yeah.
Remember Chris Matthews, that 6'5" guy that like torched us in the Super Bowl, and he just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He's like that, but could have a much more, but seems to have like a much more sustainable level of success. That's what Metcalf makes me think of. So, yeah.
And Minnesota moved on and
got stomped.
And got stomped by San Francisco. I think I watched that game, but I don't remember much about it.
I had it in the background.
San Francisco just being suffocating. I don't remember Minnesota ever looking like they had much of a chance.
I just remember Cousins getting destroyed by that D-line.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they had a crazy pass rush the whole game. It just wiped him out. Poor guy.
I tell you, didn't really have much of a pass rush. Seattle in their next playoff
their game against Green Bay. Yeah,
it was just Rodgers just got anything and everything. And hey, we saw how important it is to have a running game. And Seattle did not have it. They had like a 35-year-old Marshawn Lynch who could get like maybe 2 yards a carry because like all like the other 3 running backs were like dead.
Yeah. And I mean, the reason Seattle ended up in this part of the playoff bracket was that game against San Francisco, right? Where they like ridiculously botched that sequence on the 1-yard line where they had like a freaking delay of game after they brought Lynch in to run it in and then had to take him right back out and like that whole situation. So like, a series of miscues ultimately led to the end of their season. And it's really, really hard to have basically just just your quarterback just kind of gunsling your way through the playoffs. You need something other than that, and they just didn't have enough, not even close.
Yeah, I mean, and they still had a chance though. But the offensive line reared its ugly head again, and like that D-line of Green Bay just kept making Russell run for his life.
Shout out though to Shaquem Griffin getting his first career sack.
Yes,
which was a very, very cool moment. I didn't know he was still in the NFL. I didn't think he was still on the roster at this point.
Yeah, he was there. I think I think he was playing reserves, or maybe he played like special teams. But him and his twin brother Shaquille are on the same team.
Yeah, I know Shaquille is the quarterback. Or cornerback.
Corner, yep.
Not the quarterback.
The corners didn't really play very well that game either. Like the game was sealed with an ancient, like aging Jimmy Graham.
Yes. And I mean, you know what? Rodgers, like, clearly is not what he once was, but he's still able to do these just dumb throws where he is, like, stepping out of the throw and still makes it.
All they have pretty much was Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
And you saw that get shut down in this next game between San Francisco and Green Bay,
where they got blown the hell out. And Rodgers did make it kind of interesting in the second half, but it was
too late, dude.
It was garbage time scoring, and the reality is they could not stop San Francisco's run games. The 49ers just got anything. It was like watching the Ravens almost during the regular season. They just got anything they wanted, anytime they wanted. Garoppolo threw the ball, 7 times the whole game? So, because they just literally didn't need to throw
Tannehill game
to move the... No, he played a freaking, like, Brad Johnson game.
I mean, it's like the 2000 Ravens, man, with like Trent Dilfer.
Yeah.
I'm knocking on wood here.
Trent Dilfer.
So yeah, I mean, Seattle, they were number 5 seed. Like they played like a number 5 seed against Green Bay. So I think the seeding was where it should have been. And San Francisco is clearly the number 1 seed that went on to the Super Bowl.
Green Bay, at least by like DVOA and I think by like Pythagorean win-loss or whatever the stats called, Green Bay like pretty significantly outperformed their sort of indicator numbers this year. Mm-hmm. And in reality, they played much more like a 10-11 win team.
Are they overrated? Like, is Rodgers overrated?
I'm not going to go, well, I don't think Rodgers is overrated because I think people are generally acknowledging that like he's not the same guy he was like 4 or 5 years ago.
But it's like the Packers are always seen as like a chance they could go all the way and blah blah blah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they as a team they were overrated certainly, and they were certainly seated higher than they probably should have been.
Yeah.
And part of that is that sort of silliness where
Stephen A. Smith saying he's a bad man.
Well, like in the case of Seattle, where if you don't win your division, you automatically have to be the 5 or 6 seed.
Yep.
Even if you have a better record than a division winner, which didn't happen in the case of Green Bay, but like, you know.
At least they were not the Rams.
Yeah. Frankly, they should have, I mean, you know, in a just world, they would have played Philadelphia at home, but they won the game anyway, so who cares? So let's jump over to the AFC really quickly. Okay. Let's start with Buffalo Houston because I feel like listeners, you know what's coming. You know what's coming.
Josh, if Josh Allen could throw the football and not spontaneously combust on the field, they would have stomped Houston.
And the thing is, like, Josh Allen is not Tim Tebow. Like
he's not.
He made throws at points this year. He was not like a net zero at quarterback.
Plus, he's more athletic.
And he certainly wasn't Nathan Peterman.
Peterman. Or Tree would call him Peter Meme.
Yeah, no, for real. But yeah, Houston like gave them every chance to win this game, and if he'd like
for a fourth down,
Houston like opened the door back up like 5 or 6 times, and if Buffalo could have been like had the wherewithal to step through even one time, they would have been.
Wait a minute. Wait, Houston went for it on 4th down and didn't get that, left the door open late in the game for Buffalo. So why in the hell did they not go for it on 4th and short against Kansas City? We'll get to that.
We'll get there.
Oh my gosh!
Because Bill O'Brien sucks.
Tree calls him a hack. He's like, because Bill O'Brien is a hack. Like, he had like this 5-minute video just like calling him a hack.
I
told you he wasn't a good coach.
For the occasional Lord of the Rings and sports fan crossover, I like to call him Bilbo O'Brien.
Dang.
Anyway,
but the fact is, the team succeeds in spite of him with two guys just basically sandwich that bounce off each other while Deshaun Watson's in the middle, and then those two guys defenders colliding with each other kind of, I guess, put him right back side up, and he was able to run and scamper for and make like a throw or something for like 30 yards.
Yeah. But all right, let's talk about the freaking Patriots.
Okay, well, as I told you, man, we just didn't have it on offense, man.
Nope.
Like nothing. It's like Brady's arm was dead, like no separation whatsoever. I mean, we could do it, but we couldn't finish drives in the red zone because we just don't have like that big red zone target. We got stopped 3 straight plays, like down in the red zone.
I really think, because we talked about this at great length earlier in the season, and I think it just kind of bared through to the end with either a competent offensive line or competent skill position players or a decent running game. They probably would have been fine, but they didn't have any of those 3 things and could never find consistency in any of them.
Sorry. Go ahead.
And Derrick Henry did just enough.
Just enough, dude. He ran for 180 yards,
and
he dismantled the D line. Tannehill could be saying he did just enough. Like Henry, he was a world beater.
And let's not forget, we'll get to Henry because I feel like we're gonna just be talking about him quite a bit.
The walk-off pick from Logan Ryan, though, that was kind of cool, though.
That too,
former Patriot.
The Mike Vrabel against his former coach, pulling out an all-time troll move with that weird clock manipulation penalty thing that I still don't understand how it works.
They're gonna nix that.
They're absolutely. But that's the thing. Remember, that's what Bill did years ago with the whole uncovered 4-man offensive line play against Baltimore. Remember that, the Alabama package?
I don't remember that, but didn't he try to do that? Do something like that? Try to do something what Vrabel did this year in the playoffs, but when we were playing the Jets, taking false start penalties and stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the same thing. I can't remember. I think they were trying to back up to have more room to punt, and the Jets kept not accepting the penalty. Is I think what happened there. I can't remember.
You
but
just see him smirk on the side.
Yeah, because Adam Gase decided to be petty the night that Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts. Anyways, but yeah, what the hell? I lost my train of thought.
The Alabama package.
Yeah. It's the sort of thing, it's like a loophole in the rules that basically you can only use once, right? Because then in the offseason, they're going to change the rule. And so clearly Bill probably had that in the back of his notebook for 15 years and was just like, all right, we need a first down here. Now's the time. And did that whole thing where he had a, lineman line up and didn't have to announce whether he was eligible or not, or whatever the freaking loophole was, and then they got a first down to Gronk, and the rest is history in that crazy Baltimore game.
I remember that because they were complaining about that. Yeah,
and then Baltimore complained about it after the game, and it's technically legal in the rules, and
then everybody's got to report eligible and ineligible the following year.
Yep.
But big ups to Tennessee, though.
Yeah,
man.
I mean,
Tannehill threw for under 100 yards.
After what happened the next week, which I think is the next game we'll talk about, Tennessee made all of my salt go away. Because I just assumed Baltimore would win the Super Bowl. They seemed the vastly superior to every other team, and it seemed like they were on a mission of destiny.
I was one of those people that was on that bandwagon, but I had something in the back of my mind being like, I don't know. This team is still rather young. And I was worried that if this game gets tight or if Tennessee jumps, as I was talking to this one guy who was a Chiefs fan, I'm like, they play similar style football, but if Baltimore's kind of young, but so if Tennessee is to jump like 14 points ahead on them, 7, 10, or 14 points on them to their nothing, then Baltimore is not a good team coming from behind. They like to get the jump on you and then milk the clock.
Yep.
But Tennessee beat Baltimore with their own game by using their own game plan. And Derrick Henry, had like 180, 190 yards, just like he did against New England.
He just went nuts, and no one can tackle him because he's like 6'4", and is just. He's like 6'4" and
he's like 240 some pounds.
Right. He's just nothing but muscle and is like also one of the faster players on the field. So, I mean, go figure that out.
King Henry. Yo. But like that was hilarious. I just like how Tannehill threw for like under 100 yards both games.
Yeah.
But then again, he threw some beauty.
Yeah. He made throws
like,
when he
in that game. Like that play action.
And I think
oh man.
And
AJ Brown's gonna be a star too.
Yeah, and to be clear, like Tannehill played very well earlier in the season. Like that was not what their offense looked like the whole year. He had like some legit games where he threw for a lot of yards and beat some teams passing through the air. That's how they got to this point. So
they also had like a little bad loss against the Panthers that me and Casey and our friend Daniel got to see.
In a weird way, I feel like the playoffs has sort of like almost made people like forget how good he was earlier in the season. So I just want to correct the record.
Well, Tannehill played pretty good last week. So
yeah, no, fair, yeah.
Like they played about like we'll get to that, but they played as perfect of an offense. Like for asking like the Titans to play offense, they played about almost as perfect as you could have played that first half.
Yes.
But we'll get to that.
So let's talk about how the Kansas City Chiefs turned into my old Madden team.
The Velshire Aldrayans.
Yes.
D'Antonio Short and Jesse Terrell.
I'm not going to lie. So years ago, I don't know. I just was so obsessed with specifically Madden 2006 on the original Xbox that I played, I think, all 30 seasons of a franchise with one franchise. I had a quarterback that I like did some machinations to like trade for a first overall pick and drafted the quarterback I wanted. And
you said some what? Machinations?
Yes.
Wow.
But I had the guy, and like at one point he had 100 touchdown passes in a season. Because I just drafted guys who were speed 99 and did a lot of just throwing deep.
You just drafted a bunch of Tyreek Hills then.
Basically, yeah.
And Jesse Terrell's the QB, right?
Yeah. And it's wild because the Chiefs are like, it's like if that sprung to life, it shouldn't be possible. What they are able to like consistently do to NFL teams. Now, Houston's defense is really, really bad. Like really bad.
But damn, 24 points.
But damn.
24-0. Can you imagine if Tennessee would have had a lead like that? I know they had I know they were like up 10 points, but if you spotted Tennessee or like Baltimore or New England even 24 points, not even the 06 Patriots would have blown that type of lead. Come on, 24-0, and they had a like it was 21-0 when they had that fourth and less than one, where they should have probably went for it to step on their throats to make that throat snap, and they could have won the game. But then they like, okay, we'll kick a field goal. Okay, I take the points. That's good. But then why the hell are you gonna go and do a fake punt on your own 30 when you're facing Patrick Mahomes? How are you that dumb when it comes to your play call? Like, I don't get it. And then like it was something ridiculous. It's like, okay, well, like we kick off, okay, to get like a 50, 60 yard scamper, like to set up for a short field, a couple plays there, touchdown. Okay, that's cool. Then 3 and out, fake punt, don't get it. Couple plays later, another touchdown.
Yeah, that fake punt was a stupid call.
And then what happened after that? The guy didn't just traditionally fumbled. He literally got the ball popped out of his arms, and it just popped right into the arms of a Kansas City player midair. And lo and behold, few plays later, another touchdown, and then another 3 and out, and then another touchdown. Like, that was a train wreck of a game. A train wreck of 10 minutes.
The game was decided in those 10 minutes. Like, after that, once the Chiefs took the lead, you were like, this is over.
And then Houston just became Houston again in the playoffs.
So
I hate that for the fan base, man.
Now, to be clear, so I went and actually pulled up the win probability chart from that game. So when Houston was up 24-0, win probability only had them with a 91% chance to win, which, for some perspective, when the Patriots were down 28-3, the Falcons had a 99.7% chance to win. So win probability still was like 1 out of 10 times the Chiefs win this game, even down 24-0, which is mind-boggling. Like, that is a very large number.
But hell, it took the Patriots a quarter and a half to come back.
True. No, that is true. Yeah, the Chiefs.
It took less than a quarter, dude.
The Chiefs did it all, and like without the benefit of onside kicks either, because they were just like, you know what,
2/3 of a quarter, man. And Patrick Mahomes is just like, it's like
people thought Mahomes regressed this year because he threw only 26 touchdowns and got hurt, and it's like all of the like numbers, the underlying numbers say he's playing better than he did last year. So put that in your freaking pipe and smoke it.
Well,
you thought this guy couldn't possibly get better, and he's getting better.
You know what would have helped Houston though? If they didn't trade Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine if they didn't literally let their coach be the general manager basically by default because they just were too lazy to hire a new one. Like,
I mean, I think they would have preferred to have him than Kenny Stills. I mean, JJ Watt's probably going to retire in like the next couple of years.
Yeah, no, I don't know how he keeps this up when he keeps getting hurt like this.
I mean, their defense is pretty much like a shell of themselves. I mean, who do they have left? Whitney Merciless? That's it.
It's not looking good, and that's the thing, man.
They picked up Vernon Hargreaves, who was a bust at Tampa.
And so here's the thing to consider. So the reason the Saints have basically had their competitive window reopen, because remember that sort of period of time for those few years kind of in the middle where Breeze would like light it up, but the Saints would somehow be like 7-9 every year because their defense was so bad.
They had no defense.
The Saints had one draft where they got like
shout out to Shy Tuttle,
where they got Lattimore, and they got the running back Kamara.
Alvin Kamara,
and a few, I can't remember everybody else, but they had basically like a home run of a draft and got like multiple
Michael Thomas
impact players. I don't think that was that same draft. But yeah, Michael Thomas was coming into his own at that point. But the point is, basically the Saints like they didn't have any money to bring in free agents. So essentially that was their path back to relevance, was getting a sudden infusion of a bunch of talent, and they were able to do it because they had like a once in a lifetime draft. That's not even really an option for Houston at this point, because they, just to get Laramie Tunsil, just to try to shore up that offensive line that still wasn't very good.
2 first-round picks?
Bill O'Brien went and traded 2 freaking first-round picks because he's a damn coach, and the coach is saying, I want to have the best team this year. And what that means is Houston, like,
they still were far off, though.
There's no help coming.
They were still far off after that trade.
They realistically have no significant way to vastly improve this team as constructed, and all of that. He fired every bullet in his gun to be the 4 seed. I mean, and to lose that game due to both his own like incompetence and like just having a god awful defense.
And Romeo Crennel doesn't get a pass though. But his contract ran out. They didn't renew it.
Yeah, they didn't bring him back. But
like he to a point he gets some blame. But at the same time, you're playing against like freaking Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs and not George Kittle, but like Travis Kelce and like freaking Tyreek Hill.
Excuse me, but. Your point stands. If you have a 24-0 lead against any team, doesn't matter if they are like the greatest offense ever, you should win that game. And I mean, you should have enough talent on your roster to win that game.
They probably should have just ran the football the whole time. They would at least survive the quarter with the lead.
Right. And what can you say, man? That was just brutal, and I don't know how that team improves from here.
I was pissed from that, man.
And the reason we're upset is that we love Deshaun Watson, and we're getting this sort of almost Dan Marino-y vibe where it's like this dude might play the like majority of his peak on bad teams at this point.
But at least Dan Marino made it to like an AFC championship game.
He made it to a Super Bowl.
Wait.
In '84, his rookie year.
He was in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, and he lost. And yeah, and
I'm about to say, is that the one from Ace Ventura when he was in the Super Bowl?
And he famously never even got to the Super Bowl again the entire rest of his career.
Miami sucked then, they suck now.
So anyway,
but big ups to Brian Flores? No, what's the name? Not Brian Flores. The I think his name is Flores, coach for Miami. Who's
the
defense coordinator,
disciple, who also pantsed Belichick on national television right at the end of the season.
I give them credit, man. They were like heading to be like the worst team in the league, and like they just ran like 5 or 6 wins.
He turned a team that was supposed to be 0-16 into like a 5-win team, and actually screwed them out of the first overall pick. So.
No, it wasn't just him. It was Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to this one now. Now, I love the Chiefs, and I respect them, and Patrick Mahomes, he just still looks goofy to me, but his talent is undeniable. I kind of hate him in terms of he's so good. It's kind of like hating Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers together.
You hate him because
he's not on my team.
You know he's amazing, and you know you're going to be losing to him for the next 10 years.
And the problem was he played against my girlfriend's favorite team. Now she originally hails from Nashville, Tennessee. Tennessee Titans needed this win more than Kansas City because they will be back next year. Tennessee's window is not as open as Kansas City, and that's what makes the loss hurt even more because Tennessee was up on 2 separate occasions by 10, and then it evaporated.
Yep, same thing.
Especially when they just should have freaking hit him at the sideline. Instead, he scampers for 28, 30 yards for a score for the slowest, scramble I've seen. Yeah. I mean, it's not the slowest. I've seen Brady do it worse, but if they weren't so afraid of drawing a flag and stuff, they probably would have at least they should have lit him up, man.
Yeah.
But the fact that they just literally could not stop Kelsey, could not stop Hill, and then when they were trying to cheat up or try to cheat on the passing game, they used Tennessee's own strategy against them by running the football from when they started, I think at their 10 or 15 yard line, they pretty much ran the football all the way up the field and then scored.
Yep.
And they were playing the offense was playing so good in that first half. Tannehill was dropping dimes at play action and stuff. Henry was getting about 4 or 5 yards of carry, but then once they came back and stuff, they had to ditch the run. They couldn't play their style, and then when they had to play catch up, it was over. And I was just holding out hope maybe Tennessee could get back, but I wanted to pull my hair. I was pissed. I was probably pissed more than my girlfriend was. She was telling me to calm down. I was like, this is what Tennessee does. I'm like, damn it, I don't want them to do this. I want them to win this one. That's why I wish Houston would have won, because it would have been an easier matchup for Tennessee.
True.
Which it should have happened. So I blame Houston for this.
It's all Bill O'Brien's fault.
It's all Bill O'Brien's fault.
I'm down for that.
It's all his fault. But Kansas City, though, is
so
they are what the Steelers should have been.
With all the offensive pieces, I see.
This is what happens when you don't have freaking drama tanking your team. Well, this is what happens when you have a true offensive juggernaut. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Players play, but just brief aside, shout the out to Andy Reid, who
I am happy for that. I am happy for Andy.
2 decades into his career is like still one of the best play callers in football.
I heard people were like, were just like throughout the NFL was just root for him because of Andy Reid just had those hard times and root for him. So I am happy about that.
He is a very, very well respected guy. Everybody loves him. And I mean,
plus he looks like Casey's dad.
I don't know that I can really, like have crocodile tears too much about this because my team is partially responsible for it. But
that was once though.
But
that was his only trip to the Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Those early 2000s Eagles teams were. Go back and just like take some time and look at like the 02, 03, 04 rosters. Those teams were freaking loaded. They were really, really good on both sides of the ball. And it's one of the more star-crossed groups that they played in, I think, 4 straight NFC championships and only won one of them. And then, obviously the sort of well-known loss to the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
But T.O. was like epic, though. He came back from like a broken leg and like lit us up for over 100 yards.
Yeah. Deion Branch was the MVP of that game.
Man. That was kind of a boring game in a way.
It kind of was.
Yeah.
But technically, even though they were up by 10 in the fourth quarter, Vinatieri did ultimately provide the margin of victory.
3 points.
Because he kicked the last field goal. So,
is that Illuminati confirmed? Like we won by 3 points in like our first 3 Super Bowls, or something surreal about the number 3?
Of course. Anyways,
3's the magic number.
And that's it. I am literally recording this just because it feels weird to not have the outro music. So hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and or night. And bet you thought I was gonna forget, but I wish I could just hug you all, but I'm not going to. Peace.
DeBagel, Steve DeBagel.
Man, William Dafoe.
It's Willem Dafoe, not William.
Will I am?
Will I am not.
I still remember you when you turned me into Will I am. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. That's the greatest hits right there.
Yes.
But so